India is the best country to do the research. So if we can make impactful innovations in India for the Indian market, but also for the world, and that's where we can start the journey.
How has meditation helped you to excel in your profession?
If we can create peace within ourselves, that's where meditation helps me to really give the best, regardless of whatever the situation is.
How do you convince the finance persons to invest in IP or continuously invest in IP year on year? And what ROI are they getting out of it?
I would say that IP is a long-term gain. So amount of the budget could be partly look at protecting the innovation, and also partly just like an insurance premium to secure your innovative future. And you don't really count ROI for paying the insurance money, right?
So, Balwant, if you were to restart your career today, which industry would you pick?
Okay, so that's a tough question.
Mr. Balwant, good morning. How are you doing today?
Good morning, Prayank. I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing fantastic. Thank you so much. And welcome to the show. Thanks for giving us your precious time for this podcast.
My pleasure.
Excellent. So, Balwant, I was going through your LinkedIn profile, and I remember recently you completed 10 years in IP at your recent organization. So, I want to understand, when you were growing up, did you ever imagine yourself to be leading IP at these multinationals? And basically, could you imagine yourself wherever you are today when you were growing up?
So not at all. Actually, when I was at school, so my ambition was to become a scientist because I
Okay.
love exploring new things, especially related to science. So I
Hmm.
used to go to different book fairs and collect as many science and technology books as possible. I remember like going to the international book fair in Delhi, where the city where I grew up,
Hmm.
and then all these scientific developments used to fascinate me. So that is what my dream was, to become a scientist and to explore new developments. And that's how I think I had chosen science and technology as a career choice, and I
Okay.
went to the engineering. And I realized in my college at IIT BHU, right? So if you choose engineering, you become specialized into one field.
Hmm.
And I was not so very happy about choosing a specific discipline only, or restricting myself to one field only.
Okay.
So, and that's when, when I got opportunity as a part of the campus placement to join a software engineering. So
Hmm.
I left that opportunity to join a startup into the patent research field.
Interesting.
And that's the gamble I played. And I really enjoyed the journey ever since.
Hmm.
So you can imagine that as a young fresher, if you get to know what are the latest developments that are going to shape the industry and society, and getting to know 10 years before the those actually
Yeah.
happen, at the cutting edge of the technology, interacting with the best minds, the
Hmm.
top scientists. So this was a dream job for me.
I'm sure. I'm sure. So even I share same story as well. I mean, I happen to be in IP. I never imagined myself to be in this position, but the fascination and the excitement to learn new technology, well ahead of all your peers and all your friends as well. That was my calling. That was my reason to join IP as a profession itself. Because you said absolutely right. You are getting to know things 10 years in advance, if not 10 years currently, at least 4 or 5 years in advance. And you're working with the best of the best minds, and it really gives a great feeling to work on those cutting edge technology. But I want to go back again, Balwan, to your early childhood days, where you said you always wanted to be a scientist. So what was that eureka moment or that aha moment which made you think that, scientist is what I want to become? What was that story? I want to know that incidents, or uh, someone might have inspired you at that age, So that story is what I would love to know.
Yeah. So I would say that to a child, anything new will appear magical. Like as a
Hmm.
magic, it will appear, or it used to work. Like you switch on a switch and electricity comes, right?
All right.
So it's like a magic to them. But once you
Hmm.
understand how it happens, then you really get to understand. Yes, there is a hard work. There is a smart application of nature's laws that human beings have done to explore the new findings and to make it to the human use. So that was a quest for learning. That was a quest, I would say, maybe a curiosity to see
Hmm.
how things work, and a desire to make a difference to the world by finding out something which others don't know. So this is the, I think, the curiosity or the thirst for knowledge that really drove me. And even today, when I want to find my motivation, I used to go and going to the childhood days and
Okay.
remembering the childhood dreams that
Hmm.
as a child you would imagine how you would want to explore the world, what really excites you. So the simply the joy of learning,
Hmm.
the joy of finding something, how it can work for you, and being amazed with the vastness and infiniteness of the nature and the world around us. It
Interesting.
is very interesting and even also a humbling experience for me.
Interesting. Did you also have some role model while you were growing up?
Yes, I do had Albert Einstein was one of
Hmm.
my role models to see that right from childhood how he is able to find out new things, even though not everybody considered him as a genius,
Hmm.
but then he made his own mark just because he stayed focused.
How, I mean, you said a very beautiful thing that Albert Einstein made his mark because he was focused. How important is it to stay focused in today's time? Because we are all surrounded by all the gadgets today, and attention, and everybody is fighting for attention. And people are saying that the Gen Zs do not have attention these days. They have very less attention span, all of that. So, how important it is to stay focused and how to stay focused in today's time?
So you're right, Prayank, that everybody is craving for attention, uh, but it is like attention of others towards us.
Hmm.
We ourselves are not attentive enough to see what we really want, and that's one thing, because there are the distractions have multiplied manifold
Hmm.
into so many opportunities, so many choices around there, that we hardly find time for ourselves, and we fail to realize that we are unique compared to the others, which if we realize ourselves and if we just spend time for ourselves, have our me time, I think
Hmm.
gradually you will come to know and you will try to enjoy the company of ours.
Okay,
That is what thing that I also do.
interesting. Do you meditate?
Yes, yes, that is what
Interesting.
my way of spending time with myself, having my me time,
Hmm.
getting some clarity in midst of all the distractions.
And how has meditation helped you to excel in your profession?
So it is by looking at things from a little distance, because one thing is there that we get a lot of challenges in our day-to-day life, in a personal life as well as in professional life. But when we are involved with those challenges, uh, we tend to not produce our best. So I've seen that
Hmm.
if you really want to do your best to any situation, uh, you can do that by a little bit dissociating yourself,
Okay.
and then there is an outer world as well as there is an inner world within us, right? Outer world is not in our control all the times, but
Hmm.
that's an inner world. If we can create peace within ourselves, if we can control our inner senses, that's where
Hmm.
meditation helps me to really give the best regardless of whatever the situation is, that this situation is inevitable, but let's
Hmm.
see how can I best deal with this. So
Interesting.
keeping yourself first and then taking care of what is the best ability that you can use to take care of outside things.
How long have you been meditating, Balwant?
I learned it when I was in college because
Okay.
fortunately I was part of the IIT BHU. So in the
Hmm.
Banaras Hindu University, the oldest town, if you say the Kashi,
Yeah.
and that's where if you go there, the Indian tradition is still alive. The
Hmm.
yoga, meditation, all the scriptures, everything is there. And Holy Ganga River is also there. So I think that has an influence on me, where developed interest for spirituality, and that's what have been my direction ever since.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. I mean, yeah, Banaras has a different culture, different vibe altogether, and it can grow on you for sure. So, when it comes to legal profession, let's say you wanted to always become a scientist, but then you became an engineer. How did you end up working for an IP uh, company to start your career with? I mean, that's a huge gamble which you've taken. What was your thought process during that decision making?
So it was year 2001,
Hmm.
and because of 9/11 attack, and so we had a little bit of time. So before I were to join my campus company, there
Okay.
were around 3 months of time. So rather than sitting idle, I thought that let me just try for some internship or just see
Hmm.
how things are there. And then somebody referred me to this company that was a startup at that point of time. And this was something they were doing, something revolutionary on
Hmm.
the intellectual property and business research. So it was starting a new industry called knowledge process outsourcing, because at that time
Mm.
was business process outsourcing, BPO, call
Yeah.
center, quite new, right?
Correct.
So they
Yeah.
were trying to say that not just the low end services, India can also deliver high end technology and legal services to the world.
Hmm.
And that's where I developed my curiosity and tried my hands. And I really was fascinated, because you can imagine that as a young engineer in 2001, when there was 2G mobile, right?
Hmm.
Was just Nokia and Ericsson's.
Yeah.
They were just having this large, heavy handsets, and it was a luxury to have this handsets.
Correct.
Right, not everybody can do it. So at that point of time, my first patent application, which was drafted, was for Ericsson, and that was in the 3G video
Wow.
transmission. Right, so 2G hardly very few people knew about, and this was
Correct.
a standard essential patent I was supposed to draft for Ericsson.
Hmm.
Very complex technology that it really tested my engineering skills, but I learned a lot during that project. And then I felt that yes, this is really the cutting edge, and that was
Hmm.
a European client. And when I was talking to the inventors, I really found that yes, this is what is the best is happening in the industry. So best technology, excellent exposure, and also in a startup mode with
Hmm.
many foundations. So what best is a fresher can ask for? So then I really decided to then stay with this.
Nice. Lovely. Lovely. So, uh, how did the transition happen from working into a KPO to an in-house? What's that story? What was the reason to move that? I mean, move from KPO setup to the in-house.
So I really loved my journey in the KPO side, because
Hmm.
I was the 10th employee of the
Wow.
company, right? At
Hmm.
this company, this company, ValueServe IT
Yeah.
services, and then it grew to 300 plus later on. So in
Hmm.
the span of 10 years, I really enjoyed my journey in the services industry, and I learned a lot of things related to the services mindset, discipline, delivery excellence, clients management, and all, and
Hmm.
so. So, and after 10 years or so, I felt that there could be something missing piece that we are working on the IP services, we are providing IP consultancy. But what really happens once we have given this consultancy? How does that IP goes to finally to the products? That was always a
Hmm.
curiosity. That what I switched to in-house counsel, and once I switched, then I realized that it was a completely different ball game. Because
Okay.
from the client and the service delivery excellence, once you go to the in-house field, then suddenly
Hmm.
one client you have shifted to 1,000 plus clients, which are the engineers. Like so, in the R&D, all these engineers are your clients plus the leadership.
Right.
So then I wanted to understand how the innovation really works.
Hmm.
Where can I make more difference? And that was one of the big challenges that I had to transform the culture of the organization.
Okay. We want to understand more about that. What do you mean by transforming the culture of organization? Is it about creating a culture of innovation, or culture of growth, or culture of collaboration? What exactly do you mean by that transformation?
So one of the mandate, being a IP services leader to in-house IP
Hmm.
leader,
Hmm.
was to have an IP mandate for the growing organization.
Okay.
And I realized that if you really want to develop an IP portfolio, you cannot do that in isolation. So simply
Correct.
the legal skills are not really sufficient.
Hmm.
So I realized that if you really want a good IP as an output, you also need to look at the input, which is
Hmm.
the innovation. So quality of innovation will really define what quality of IP that you will generate, and on a long-term basis. So I realized that in a in-house setup, when you are sitting besides the R&D engineers, when you're interacting with the top business leaders or the technology leaders, and at that point of time, I was in charge of the India unit, or the
Okay.
GCC we call now, India Center, where which is also servicing their own headquarters, right? That's a multinational headquarters. So I realized it's not a legal problem; it is also a business problem, because there are a lot of questions came to my mind. First of all,
Hmm.
where do the ideas come from? Where do good ideas come from? And if you really
Hmm.
want to have a pipeline of good ideas, which will ultimately become a IP, how do we generate that? And who generates those good ideas? Those are the inventors. How do we
Hmm.
motivate those engineers to become inventors, to really provide high quality ideas continuously? And that can only happen if you have a right culture of innovation, right culture of inventions.
Hmm.
And who defines the culture? It's the leadership.
Correct.
So how do I then interact with the leadership? How do I influence that to have the right processes, to have the right environment, and for our leaders to provide the right psychological safety for the employees to invent? How do the leaders recognize those leaders to provide right motivation and recognition to all the inventors? So these are some of the questions that I had, which and also some of the topics where I learned that how do we develop a structured IP process.
Hmm.
IP process, I would say it's a process for overall innovation journey, focusing on what are the right problems to solve, because options are so many, but we have only limited time and resources. So we have to focus on the right problems to begin with. Then how do
Okay.
we solve that problem in the best possible way? What are the more than one ways to solve that problem? And then which problems and which solutions we take it for the IP protection, prototyping, implementation, market testing, and ultimately benefiting from innovation. So
Hmm.
that's overall journey that we need to really think. And it's not a one-time activity; it's also over a long term. It's over different cycles. And who will ultimately be responsible? It could be the engineers, it could be the leaders, it could be overall different functions within the organizations that they have to work together and count on the way.
How crucial it is to have an in-house IP leader in any growing organization which is tech driven?
So I believe the role of our in-house leaders, in-house IP
Hmm.
team, is very very different,
Hmm.
and it is not to replace the outside IP councils or the law firms or the service providers, because they are needed in their own way. In a way,
Hmm.
I have seen that both the teams actually complement towards the progress of the organization.
Correct.
So for an in-house IP leaders or the in-house IP team, they have to focus on what you cannot be done outside, what cannot really be provided outside. For example, if you just talk about the simple services like the drafting of the patents or simple searching or making a decision, then a part of it, a lot or a significant part of it can also be done by our outside counsel much better,
Hmm.
uh, at a lesser cost and at a faster speed.
Okay.
So for in-house leaders, it is important to think strategically,
Hmm.
to also find the right directions to what should be our core focus. Understanding the business context, understanding how the technology is developing, providing a directions to the engineers, to the leadership teams, to see where it is worthwhile to have a right IP portfolio. What are the
Hmm.
constraints that the organization faces? What could be the challenges through which we can resolve through a right IP and innovation strategy? And being an enabler to develop high quality ideas, making sure that they are the team which is connecting different organizations. In fact,
Hmm.
we call our in-house team as a bridge between different departments, where we
Okay.
are able to solve a problem through collaboration
Hmm.
from multiple technology experts. So through our diversity and inclusion principle, we are able to bring the diverse team together to solve that same problem, and which really creates a high quality innovation and IP portfolio. So this is
Interesting.
where our in-house team excels to strategically define the right areas
Hmm.
and enabling the teams to come together and contribute towards the end goal.
Interesting. So, over the last 6 months, Balwant, I've spoken to more than 100 plus general counsels, in-house counsels, leaders in this in-house space, and one of the common pattern which I have seen is not everybody is having an IP background, because when it comes to in-house counsel, there are multiple roles and responsibilities and departments which you have to take care of, be it compliance, be it contract, be it negotiation, and so many other things as well. And IP is one of the portfolio thing which is also part of the in-house counsel's kitty. But because they do not have an experience in IP, oftentimes they face certain challenges. Since you are an IP leader in-house, can you give some blueprint which everybody can adopt, like some basics, some non-negotiables, which one should implement to ensure their tech company is on a right path when it comes to innovation protection? What are those 4 or 5 handy things which one can implement from a get go?
So I believe it's not a one-sided thing that you
Hmm.
have to become expert in your own areas, especially being in-house. Because if you look at the overall journey, it's an intersections. I believe IP, the role that we are playing is an intersection of technology with business and legal aspects of it.
Hmm.
So
Right.
one needs to understand all the nitty-gritties and work together with different teams. So it's a teamwork, I would say, uh, to understand the different challenges that the organization is facing. So first and foremost, every organization's business context is different.
Hmm.
So they should understand what is the strategic positioning of the company, what defines the business, how does the organization earns its money, right, and what are the competition view. So one needs to understand the business context well,
Hmm.
uh, because that is what binds everybody. We are doing it for a purpose.
Correct.
The second thing is, if you talk from an IP perspective, how does IP contributes to the business objectives of the company in the short term and in the long term.
Mhm.
Oftentimes, I have seen that and organizations are becoming very big, right? They create different
Mhm.
departments, and the management is run through measuring different KPIs. So ultimately, in many organizations, as I also speak to, IP becomes like a tick mark activity,
Yeah,
where
exactly.
they are in charge of filing certain number of patents as a goal,
Mhm.
and that's about it. Next year again, uh, the different numbers, right? So it is only fulfilling the quantity goals, and that's where our
Mhm.
leaders. So a lot of people will say that we are innovative because we are filing patents, or we are
Mhm.
filing a number of filings patents more than our competitions, right? So it becomes like a number race. So, but this is not the core objective, because if you are just looking at the numbers, then it's a very costly race. IP
Mhm.
does require a
Right.
lot of money and resources. So unless we measure impact, unless we measure the quality, unless we really see how does it transforms your business, how does it remove business risks, for example, how does it creates a long-term business advantage.
Mhm.
Without that understanding, it is difficult, and that's where the role of the IP leaders within the organization is to really see how does their effort is actually counting to the business value of it. So if you can make your work meaningful,
Mhm.
impactful, and first of all have the right measures in place, then you can really improve it on a continuous basis. So,
Mhm.
and I can summarize it into two, three parts. First part is to have the right culture within the
Okay.
organization, which is supported by the leadership team across all levels, from top leadership to bottom level, because without them, the culture may not be there, which will ultimately motivate the engineers to go beyond their job responsibilities.
Mhm.
Second is to have the right process, IP structured processes within the organizations, so that we select the best ideas and we provide resources and motivation to the right team to take it forward.
Mhm.
And third is to have right measures in place, which will measure the not only the quantity but quality and impact of the IP that gets generated, and to see what we can learn from it and how we can improve.
Interesting. Very well said. So, Balwant, help me understand. So, when you go in house, the first challenge I think comes is convincing your finance team or the CFOs to approve a certain IP budget, because for them everything is about we invest X amount, what value it is giving us, what's the ROI. How do you convince the finance for persons to invest in IP or continuously invest in IP year on year, and what ROI are they getting out of it?
Yeah, it's a very tough question to convince a CFO about the immediate ROI from the IP side of it. So I would say that IP is a little bit. It's a long game,
Mhm.
a long term game, where instead of uh, looking at just filing X number of patents, if we understand that ultimately IP is protecting the innovation output of the organization,
Mhm.
and in today's world, if the organizations have to succeed, especially in India, the cost advantage that India used to have over the competition, it's slowly going away, right? So ultimately, it's the differentiation, it's the competitiveness at a global level which will define the future of the company.
Okay.
So before I talk from an IP perspective, the question would be that how would you ensure that the organization is innovating,
Mhm.
and if organization is spending money to be innovative, to really think beyond the value that it can create for the customers. So IP, the budget for IP is a piece of it to protect that innovation within the organization. So it's also the image that you have within the industry,
Mhm.
that through continuously providing new solutions, new ways, adapting to the customer needs, that you show that yes, your organization is innovative. And IP, you are also filing not only for the immediate products that you are launching in the market, but it is
Hmm.
also to secure a future where there are different possibilities, because the term of an IP, that it's for 20 years, and
Yeah.
then in many industries things are changing fast within, let's say, 5-10 years. So you need to have the right ideas which are ahead of the time and file IP protection for it as an insurance
Hmm.
towards, if that situation arises, we should be in a comfortable position to also avoid risk at that particular place. So the amount of the budget could be partly look at protecting the innovation, and also partly just like an insurance premium to secure your innovative future.
Mm.
And you don't
Eh,
really count ROI for paying the insurance money, right?
yes, but when you go for insurance, you at least know how much risk cover you are getting, right? If you're paying 50,000 rupees a year, you know you are covering for 50 lakh rupees. How to arrive at that particular number, that okay, this much should be my IP budget for this particular year? How does that exercise happen? Or how do you play, what role do you play in that budgeting exercise, that okay, in this year this is what the IP budget we should have, and what flexibility do you have in that? Maybe you can take some example of your past companies, your current companies as well, and try to give us some more understanding on how to deal with this, because this is very crucial question. And almost everybody face challenges in this.
So, Prayank, I think it's not too much, uh,
Hmm.
because now ultimately, as the organization mature, the value will not increase so much. I can understand that for startups, it can increase year on year as the organization is actually going from a startup to a mature organization. But
Hmm.
if I say from the companies that I have worked for, they will also understand the competitive landscape that well, right? And the IP budget is uh, a fraction of the overall R&D budget that the company will have, right? It is not that will vary too much from that perspective,
Okay.
because ultimately it is to define the business and R&D goals of the organization. So from the context, I can understand the overall IP budget will be not very different from what you have spent in the past,
Okay.
but more than the value of that or the quantity or the overall numbers of the budget, what gets more important with time is that how much of that IP portfolio that you have built is optimized for the
Hmm.
current business needs. So if we need more money to protect new ideas for your business, simultaneously you also need to prune out
Hmm.
the older ideas, older IP, which you no longer need. And that's where you can sell some of this IP or stop paying maintenance fees. You can save on certain costs from that side. So it's an exercise which will be continuously adapting and optimizing your IP budget for different protection. And you will see that with time, what is the best utilization of your money in your IP budget. So which are the
Hmm.
countries that you really need to file your IP, and which are the right ideas which will ultimately become worth investing. Not all ideas are the same in
Correct.
the value. So if you continuously look at what's the best value that I can generate for my IP, what has the best potential, how do I do my own due diligence, you can
Hmm.
really optimize the spending in whatever budget you get.
Interesting. Whatever budget you get. Okay. So, and this question is now for the startup companies which are new to IP world and they want to start something but they have no clarity. Uh, how should they adopt an IP strategy?
Two, three points come to my mind. So first
Mm.
part is that a startup's whole existence is their USP, their key
Correct.
differentiator, right? There will
Yeah.
always be something which is unique to them. That's where everybody has really taken a big risk, especially the
Hmm.
founders, right?
Hmm.
Now it's up to them that how do they protect their different key differentiation,
Hmm.
for example, with IP. So filing one or two patents for their core ideas is not really sufficient because they will see that they as they develop their products,
Hmm.
as they mature their products, there are a lot of changes, there are a lot of developments. So that's why IP should be a continuous activities to
Hmm.
develop a very strong and focused patent portfolio around their key differentiation.
Okay.
So they can really make sure that as per their USP, as per their key differentiation, what is the best patent portfolio I can make.
Hmm.
And in that focus domain, in that narrow domain, they should really do their own due diligence to find out what is the competition IP around this,
Hmm.
what are the collaboration opportunities we can have, and what are the further differentiation opportunities as the industry or the technology will grow. So with that mindset, with a long term, they should really be focusing on developing a strong patent portfolio. And to do that, I know that startup founders and the companies in general, they're always so busy uh,
Right.
in time, and also they may not have enough money.
Correct.
So my advice to them would be that nowadays, if they adopt AI,
Hmm.
a lot of AI tools in the market now, which makes it much faster and more efficient to uh, do all the different IP activities.
Hmm.
To whether it's for searching the potential of a idea to become a patent, or whether it is to really scan through the competitive landscapes and to understand what is really the trend in innovation being, or whether it is related to the drafting and prosecutions through which they can save a lot of cost. So by employing those new tools, and there are many companies which are now actively offering that IP services through AI enabled tools, so they can really become more faster and efficient in developing a strong patent portfolio.
Hmm. Understood. Understood. So most of these in-house counsels also face problem or not a problem. I would say there are so many challenges when it comes to the procedural delays or getting. I mean, uh, multiple years to get a patent approved or a trademark approved in India. And when leadership is investing into IP, they are looking for outcome. They are looking for some tangible results from it. But the cases are still moving at a slow pace. How do you convince them to continue and stay focused, stay invested, and in fact invest more in the next subsequent years? How do you survive and thrive and ensure that innovation is progressing, even if there are challenges outside? What do you do at Mercedes or otherwise, and what would be your advice to other in-house counsels who are facing this problem right now?
So I would say that outside challenges are for everybody. So we have to
Hmm.
live with that. But then comparatively, we should really be on top of our game.
Hmm.
So with the large organizations which have I've been associated with, they understand and they are generally patient enough to think long term that ultimately it will really, if as long as you are putting in the right number of ideas, investment in that, ultimately you really develop a very strong portfolio. For startups, fortunately in India, uh, there is a expedited examination which is now
Right.
available, which
Hmm.
will fast track the examination. And if they really want to publish and get a grant soon, that is now possible for startups and universities or university based startups. So I would say that this is a really good development that has happened recently,
Hmm.
to get the quick results. Which, if it really helps the business, they should definitely look at that, because not only it is fast, but also the fee that is. applicable for smaller the startups as well as universities, it's also quite less. So
Yes.
not a challenge, I would say, anymore for the startups anymore.
Hmm.
And
Okay.
for large organization, it is always a long-term game. So they will really do it because they are committed to the overall process within the organization.
Understood. What is that one challenge or a problem which is still not solved when it comes to Indian IP landscape?
If I see Indian IP landscape, a lot has happened
Hmm.
uh, from a maturity of our infrastructure. Uh, for example, the Indian IP office, they have really recruited large number of examiners. That is the reason that you see that as the number of filings have grown, that's an
Yeah.
indication of the overall IP awareness in the organization or in the country.
Hmm.
One challenge which I feel is if you look at all the reports that India is filing so many number of patent applications or getting a certain number of grants, which is also increasing year on year. Everybody is looking mostly in the quantity aspect of it, quantitative aspect of it.
Hmm.
Uh,
Right.
but very few organizations are actually talking about the overall value of the IP that gets generated, or even comparing that whether our IP that gets generated, how does it compare to the IP which is filed in the Western countries,
Hmm.
or let's say maybe to our immediate neighbors like China.
Yeah.
That are we really as competitive? Is the level of our IP, the quality of IP, is as good as the best in the world? Is there an aspiration towards that? If we can get right level of awareness, and if we measure, because what we measure, then that only we can improve. So I think it's a right time we start questioning that what is the quality of IP, and quality of IP or the value of IP will not be done in isolation. You have to always have
Hmm.
a comparative view. You have to always compare it with your peers in the industry or your peers in the overall global domain. Then only
Hmm.
you can have the best value out of your IP.
Okay. So, Balwant, if you were to restart your career today, imagine you're getting out of the college again and you have to pick an industry, considering today is when you're graduating, which industry would you pick and why to start your career?
Okay, so that's a tough question to see which industry. Um, so I would still choose the industry which is really undergoing a lot of transformation,
Hmm.
which would be, let's say, the data sciences, the information technology, because it has really transformed. It has touched everybody's lives. So all the IT, electronics, semiconductors, which has really been the things, and that's where still developments are happening. I can be associated with anything which is transforming. So I would say not much change. So I'm happy.
Okay, you'd be still around the same technology areas.
Yes, yes.
Interesting. What has been one of the proudest moment in your life so far? It could be on the professional side as well as on the personal side.
So there are a lot of moments which makes me proud,
Hmm.
but I can really recollect latest moment. I think last year only. I got a opportunity to contribute to a knowledge paper
Okay,
on how India can become a destination for product innovation.
lovely.
And on that, it was a joint project with uh, Fraunhofer Institute.
Hmm.
So I was fortunate to be a co-author of that study. And it was a many months long study, extensive research, and dozens of interviews with the key thought leaders in the organization.
Okay.
And ultimately, when the study was published, uh, and I had given my IP inputs in that study,
Hmm. Hmm.
and it was launched by the German ambassador and the
Okay.
Office of Principal Secretary. of the PMO uh, in Delhi. And one of the insights that have come on the IP was on the IP aspect that as a nation, though
Hmm.
we are filing a lot of patents, it has actually grown rapidly over the years, and it is
Correct.
also contributing to the overall increasing the overall rank of the country on the innovation
Hmm.
index, which is really a contributor. IP has been played a significant role, and I can say that now India is amongst the top 5 countries in terms of patent filing numbers,
Hmm.
but the innovation index we are still at 38, 39, right? So
Yeah.
around that, right? So it's a huge gap. And the question I had raised was that look at the value of the IP, because still India is paying 10 times more royalties in IPR to
Yeah.
other nations
Correct.
than the money that it receives from other countries. So there's a 10x difference. So ultimately, if you compare it with the best organizations or best countries, let's say Germany is getting 3 times more, and US,
Mm.
South Korea, all these developed nations, they are also getting multiple times of their IP that they are actually getting generated. So I can say that's a interesting insight which also helps us to see how can we improve the quality and value of IP if we can stay
Hmm.
together, not just going after the numbers but also evaluating the value and the quality of IP. So the proudest moment for me was when this insight was picked up
Hmm.
by the top leaders in the organizations, by the top leaders in the country, especially Mr. Amitabh Kant, who is the former
Yes.
GP Sherpa and former CEO of Niti Aayog. So he really complimented me on this insights, and he really appreciated this report. In fact, he then later wrote a foreword for this knowledge paper
Wow.
and used this insights in several of his editorial articles in national newspapers. So that made me
Hmm.
proud. And the proudest moment was that if your work is beyond the organization boundaries, if it really helps in the national
Hmm.
missions, and it is no longer a work, it's a responsibility that what we can contribute to our country, what we can contribute to our society for the betterment of the nation. And that's where our work becomes more meaningful and more impactful.
True.
So that really energizes you to really contribute more with all your experience, with all your
Hmm.
side to see how can you make more of your work more meaningful, more impactful, and what value you can deliver to your own country in that sense.
But how will India become a product leader? I mean, China, South Korea, US, these are the product companies. India is known for their service excellence. Maybe because of the volume of people we have, but there is a 180-degree mindset shift which you need to have from changing service mindset people to product mindset. How will that transformation happen in the country? What do you think?
So there are right steps being taken now
Hmm.
by the government of
Okay.
India. So especially with the ANRF Anusandhan, National Research Foundation,
Hmm.
which is going to pump 1 lakh crore of investments in the country, which was also
Yeah.
formally announced. So strengthening the research ecosystem in the country, where together with industry and academia, they
Hmm.
work together to create new possibilities, because research and innovation, they will also go hand in hand, right, towards any country. So scientific
Hmm.
research, and then converting that research to innovation, that's where industry comes into picture. So unfortunately, we have some of the best universities in the country. We have also now industries also catching up. The
Hmm.
world's best companies are already have put their base in India because they recognize the India talent. So we have the talent, we have all the ingredients, and now with the government intent, it is also coming together right well with the best startup ecosystem that we are beginning to really see in the organization. So I think it will be a collective effort where government,
Hmm.
industry, academia, they need to work together under the right policy to have that one national mission, that how can we become the best, not only from a service excellence perspective, as you mentioned, that we have been already proved that sense, but also we can be the product destination, that from the research and development, we India is the best country to do the research in. So if we
Okay.
can make impactful innovations in India, not
Hmm.
only for the Indian market but also for the world, and that's where we can start the journey.
Interesting. Interesting. Good insight. Yes, we do have the ingredients. I think the only thing which we lack is a collaboration of all such ingredients at one place so that we can see what we are actually aspiring for and build something meaningful. And I hope the day comes soon and we walk next to the big leaders currently, the product leaders like US, China, Korea, South Korea, and people change the perception of India being the service nation to a product nation. I'm really hopeful for that, and I think that should happen. We are doing the progress in right direction. Results will also come very soon. Awesome, lovely. Balwant, before we close, if you have to give, let's say, one advice to your younger self, 20-year-old Balwant, what would that be?
In fact, this is one advice which I also give to my younger team also, which I think it is very very important, because
Hmm.
when we are successful, we become so busy,
Right.
and we become so busy in chasing deliveries, timelines,
Hmm.
projects, that we really lose track of the things which are important but which are a little bit longer term. So my only advice would be that just save some amount of time, maybe
Hmm.
20% of
Okay.
the time on a daily basis, if not daily, at least on a weekly basis, to
Hmm.
reflect where we are going,
Interesting.
and what is the, let's say, what would be tomorrow's challenges, what we
Hmm.
can prepare for, and think strategically to see what is the competency that we can acquire, and reflect on how can we use strengths in the right ways. So just like that we invest our time in hobby, we should
Hmm.
also develop and spend some time into the future possibilities, so that instead of future to come and later we adapt to it, we have a greater control in creating the right future for ourselves and also our company. And idea is to ask right questions, that are we going in the right direction,
Hmm.
and provide that vision to the organization. Otherwise, time really goes by, and then at the end of it, we repent that, oh, we should have thought about it earlier.
Hmm.
So spend some time more for reflection, and invest that time, which is very very important, into the future growth of yourself and the organization that you work for.
Very much, very profound. I mean, invest your time and reflect. Reflection is very much important, and basically do an audit of where you are spending time and what you can do in the next day, next month, and plan things strategically. I think this is a
Yes,
very beautiful advice, and I'm sure people watching this would love this. Even if they implement some of it, they would see remarkable changes in their own lives.
yes. And one final thing, as they reflect, I think the compass
Hmm.
could be, how can I make my work more meaningful, with more deeper purpose, so that at the end of it, if I reflect back again, that how did I spend my time, I can really be proud that yes,
Right.
my time was well spent, and it was of value, of meaning, and
Hmm.
deeper
Hmm.
impact to everybody around us.
Very good. Lovely. Lovely. This is wonderful. And thank you so much, Balwant, for sharing so much, so many wisdom of nuggets, nuggets of wisdom. And I really enjoyed talking to you. Uh, and you've been a true giver, Balwant. We're glad to have you on the show. Thanks again for your time and really deep insights as well into the IP ecosystem in India, outside, and also how to drive the innovation forward in any company.
Yeah, thank you. It was also a good moment as you asked those questions. I also went into some self reflection and I also enjoyed the time. Thank you so
Awesome.
much.